What's going on, everybody? We're going to do a little reading today. This is the straight shooter coming at you with the Drudge Report. The Drudge Report reading. I'm kind of new at this, so I want everybody to bear with me. We're not going to read all of these items. We're going to read some of them. Let's see here what's going on. There's still a lot of reporting to do. So I haven't seen anybody do this. This is a reading of the Drudge Report. Let's see what's going on with old POTUS. CBS News, David Rhodes on Stormy Daniels' interview and covering Trump. CBS News President David Rhodes today provided an update on 60 Minutes interview with Stormy Daniels, the porn actress who says she had an affair with Donald Trump. Of the highly anticipated sit-down, Rhodes said, the only reason that it hasn't run yet is that there's still a lot of reporting to do. The encounter between Anderson Cooper and Stormy Daniels was accompanied by conversations with attorneys and documents have to run all that down, quote unquote. Rhodes has not seen the interview and noted it's been reported that there will be injunctions trying to prevent 60 Minutes from running it. I haven't seen such an injunction, and I can't imagine what the basis for that would be, he said. He added, one of the things I love about this program is that it's the only show on television where in pretty close succession you can present an interview with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Stormy Daniels. We have incredible range. In Jerusalem, at the INTV conference and on his first trip to Israel, Rhodes also addressed such topics as covering the current U.S. administration and the era of so-called fake news, of keeping tabs on the Beltway. Rhodes said, quote, not to be naive about it, but I think some of this is overblown. One of our White House correspondents says the real challenge of covering this administration is separating the important from the interesting. The tweets are interesting, but in the end, not particularly important, unquote. He continued, quote, there are important things happening, and we try to cover those things, but some of this is a distraction. It's not new. There's too much in our news industry in the U.S. lamenting that it's never been like this, and it's totally different. A little bit of an argument that the standards need to be different. That's a mistake. We want to project continually our standards and practices. By the way, it has been worse, and that's really important to note, unquote. He continued, there are important things happening and we try to cover those things, but some of this is a distraction. It's not new. There's too much in our news industry. Okay, forgive me, I just read that. Rhodes pointed to a recently declassified FBI file on late 60 Minutes correspondent Morley Safer. Quote, the only reason they bothered to look into him was because his reports on the Vietnam War were unfavorable to the Pentagon. I think it's easy to forget that at that time, that kind of thing was routine, unquote. Speak to the issue of fake news, Rhodes pointed to polling that CBS did after the violence in Charlottesville last summer. Quote, if you dug into the surveys behind the people who support the president, in the comments, some of those said, I disagree with him. I think he's wrong about race or Charlottesville, but I hate the news media so much that I'm with him, unquote. He added, trying to find out why people feel that way is important. Social media has amplified fake news in equal measures with authentic information. It's really disgusting. Rhodes noted that immediately after the Las Vegas shooting in October last year, there was clips putting forth conspiracy theories on YouTube juxtaposed against CBS reporting. Quote, not to assign bad fate to any one company, but there is not a strong enough effort to clean that up. Usually they take items down or say after the fact that they're taking them down. I've yet to meet somebody who left a job in journalism to be a content moderator. The platforms are not doing a good enough job sifting through true and false, unquote. Fake news, fake news, fake news. I got the fake news blues. I can feel it in my shoes. Run around telling you lies. Trying to make you feel the way they do. Yeah. Dems demand more. They always demand something. This computer's slow. For your info. Republicans in House Russia probe over Democrats' objections. Republicans who control the House Intelligence Committee ended an investigation into the 2016 presidential election over intense objections from Democrats, saying they found no evidence of collusion between President Donald Trump's campaign and Russian operatives. The committee's GOP leaders announced their decision on Monday, adding that they plan to release a report soon on their findings. The probe originally intended to be bipartisan, even though an inquiry by Special Counsel Robert Mueller remains underway, and at least 4 people connected to the president's
The House Intelligence Committee's chairman, Devin Nunes, released a draft report Monday saying the probe has officially ended. But Democrats were not involved with drafting the Republican report. They argue the committee should call back some witnesses, including Donald Trump Jr. and Attorney General Jeff Sessions. The draft report will be given to the Democratic members of the committee on Tuesday for review and comment.
Including Donald Trump Jr. and Attorney General Jeff Sessions. The draft report will be given to the Democratic members of the committee on Tuesday for review and comment.
All right. So at least 4 people connected to the president's campaign are facing criminal charges. A draft summary of what Republicans say will ultimately be a final report agrees with assessments by U.S. intelligence agencies that Russia conducted cyber attacks on American political institutions and sought to sow discord through social media, but not with their conclusion that the campaign was carried out to help Trump. After more than a year, the committee has finished its Russia investigation and will now work on completing our report, the chairman Devin Nunes of California said in a statement, quote, once the committee's final report is issued, we hope our findings and recommendations will be useful for improving security and integrity for the 2018 midterm elections, unquote. Representative Adam Schiff of California, the panel's top Democrat, said Republicans on the committee have been under pressure to end the investigation, and doing so now, quote, represents yet another capitulation to the executive branch. Yeah, I got hung up on that, didn't I? Competing interests. By ending its oversight role in the only authorized investigation in the House, the majority has placed the interests of protecting the president over protecting the country, and history will judge its actions harshly, Schiff said. In a Twitter post on Monday night, Trump wrote the Intelligence Committee had, quote, found no evidence of collusion or coordination between the Trump campaign and Russia to influence the 2016 presidential election, unquote. The entire tweet was in capital letters. So he was really feeling himself. I wanted to make a point on that one, I guess. The top House Democrat Nancy Pelosi said in a statement Monday that the committee's decisions is, quote, part of a disturbing pattern by the House GOP to obstruct and interfere with investigations into the Trump-Russia scandal. Speaker Ryan has allowed the House Intelligence Committee to make a mockery, not only of the investigation, but the committee itself, unquote. And Nancy Pelosi has hit her head too hard somewhere and needs to step down, in my opinion. The Republicans' announcement is likely to further inflame the partisanship that has consumed the panel almost since the start of the inquiry on January 10, 2017. The two parties haven't even been able to agree on the scope of their investigation into Russian meddling. The conclusion that there was no evidence of collusion echoes an argument the president's been making since the inquiries into Russia election meddling began. The draft report is set to be delivered to committee Democrats on Tuesday for review and comment. After the committee votes to adopt it, likely with Republicans having a majority on the panel, it will be submitted for a declassification review. A declassified version then will be made public. I got a little cold here. An early overview of the 150-page draft provided by Republicans on Monday said it will report there was evidence of Russian cyber attacks on American political institutions in 2015 and 2016. And Russians' use of social media to sow discord, and that the U.S. government was slow to respond. It will conclude, however, that we have found no evidence of collusion, coordination, or conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Russians, quote unquote. That's really all the statement that needs to be made for this here report, for the whole Trump-Russia collusion ordeal. This thing has been stretched way out of bounds and cost the taxpayers way too much money, when we all know the real collusion is between the Democrats and the Russians. The Uranium One deal that's not being looked into. I mean, give me a break. QAnon's talking about the arrest, and they can't arrest the people yet because the American people just couldn't stand the videos. They would be too harmful for the American people. Well, I beg to disagree. I mean, all the horrific videos and movies that America puts out, I'm sure that we can handle whatever it is they put out, and it would be blurred anyway, so give me a break with that. It's just these people have a different class system where our laws don't apply to them, and they can do what they want to. And like the mayor in California, you know, I've had cousins come and stay at my house who would have a warrant, and the sheriff's department would come by and threaten me that I would be aiding, bedding, and abetting, whatever it is, you know, and I'd have a warrant taken out for me if they were caught at my house. Well, that's basically the same thing that she did, and obstruct justice and put police officers' lives in danger at the same time. And if that was you or me that did that, well, we know where we'd be sitting right now. There's no question about that. I mean, the stuff that they put out, I just don't get why there's not more of an uproar from the American people. You know, when these liberals get out and they don't like something, they get out and march. One thing I can say about them, they will get out, whether paid or not, they will get out and protest. And I think us on the right, I really don't like to say that I'm on the right or the left. I mean, they're two wings of the same bird. But we really do need to be more outspoken when it comes to these issues. You know, spring break, they're getting drunk down in Florida. And the smell of drugs. Cancun becomes the murder capital? Say what? Never been to Cancun. Becomes the murder capital. Whoa. Murder in Paradise. How Mexico's party hotspot Cancun has become one of the world's murder capitals. Violence in Cancun has escalated, with the murder rate doubling in the past year. Damn, this is like dial-up. Give me a freaking break. Oh.
This is one of the most beautiful views in the world, and we are the only people here.
Este es Acapulco ahora. Ni un turista.
Are you aware that there's been a shooting here on the beach?
No. Shooting? No.
Yeah, just right there.
All right, murder capital, huh? In paradise.
Quiero que esto quede impune, quiero justicia, porque ya estuvo bueno de tanto estar pagando cuotas.
This is the main tourist strip in Acapulco. It's supposed to be the safest part. This is why Acapulco is now a no-go zone. Are you aware that there's been a shooting here? How many people have been killed?
Hemos liquidado como unas 6, 7 personas, pero pura persona de delincuente. En la vida civil soy una gran
Quiero que
persona.
esto quede impune, quiero justicia, porque ya estuvo bueno de tanto estar pagando cuotas.
This is the main tourist strip in Acapulco. It's supposed to be the safest part. This is why Acapulco is now a no-go zone. How many people have you killed?
Hemos liquidado como unas 6, 7 personas.
A WSFA 12 News exclusive. Jermaine Moore in court.
He just openly admits how many people he's killed on video.
Moore is accused of sexually assaulting a young girl, and video of the assault was posted online.
We broke this story online this afternoon. WSFA 12 News, the only media in the courtroom when Moore was charged.
All right,
and it came
so
less
there
than
you
an
go.
hour before Alabama would have lost priority in this case to Michigan,
Man.
where Moore is
WSFA
also
12
a
News
wanted man.
exclusive. Jermaine
Reporter
Moore
Jennifer
in
Horton
court,
with
learning
all
of
the
new
new
charges
details
against
tonight.
him and his multi-million-dollar
Exclusive
bond.
video
Moore
of
is
Jermaine
accused of
Moore
sexually
making a
assaulting
first
a young
appearance in
girl, and
court,
video
charged
of
with
the assault
first-degree
was
rape,
posted online.
facilitating
We broke this
travel of a
story
child
online
for
this
an
afternoon.
unlawful sex act,
WSFA 12
and
News,
3
the only
counts of
media in the
traveling to meet a
courtroom when
child
Moore
for
was
an
charged.
unlawful
And
sex
it came
act.
less than an
Today we
hour
learned
before
those
Alabama
counts
would have
represent
lost
3 young
priority in this
victims.
case to
Chief
Michigan,
Deputy District
where Moore
Attorney
is
C.J.
also
Robinson
a
told
wanted
Judge
man. Reporter Jennifer Horton with all the new details tonight.
Exclusive video of Jermaine Moore making a first appearance in court, charged with first-degree rape, facilitating travel of a child for an unlawful sex act, and 3 counts of traveling to meet a child for an unlawful sex act. Today, we learned those counts represent 3 young victims. Chief Deputy District Attorney C.J. Robinson told Judge...
Yeah, so, man, this stuff's going on, man. Wow. You know, your mainstream media never wants to tell you these stories. Listen to this, though. This is crazy. While down there in Cancun, just trying to have a good time. Just before sunset, he found himself in the middle of a crime scene. A man had been gunned down in the sand. 4 men had come in through a luxury hotel and attacked the man, who later died in hospital. And this was meant to be one of the safer places in the area, frequented by tens of thousands of Britain tourists every year. Guru Murthy was also shocked by the lack of police presence, with many tourists unaware of the gruesome sight just meters away. It's as if the police don't want anyone to notice. There's minimum fuss and hardly any officers here, he said. While it's the third shooting on the beach in Cancun this year, tourists are deliberately not told of the dangers. Even when a well-known police commander, his wife, and baby nephew were shot dead, nobody was arrested. There are fears that Cancun is now on the brink of ruin and could face a similar demise as another well-known Mexican resort, Acapulco. This was once one of the world's most glamorous locations, but is now Mexico's murder capital. Man, look at the beautiful women. Mamacita. More beautiful women. Whoa. Whoa. It's hard for a Christian to look at this news these days. And look at this. This is the news. Yeah, so that's crazy. So back to more of the Drudge Report. Okay. A couple accused of waterboarding their 12-year-old daughter have reached a plea deal. Crazy. Last year, Melissa and Dion Stevens of Aliquippa allegedly waterboarded the girl to punish her. Under the deal, the couple will be on probation for 5 to 7 years. The family can also be reunited under supervision. Quote, "We have entered into a tentative plea agreement with the district attorney's office. It's my hope that the agreement will be upheld. It's an agreement that is geared toward family unification," unquote. Defense attorney Lee Rothman said. The details of the agreement will be worked out at a future court hearing, but the Stevens would plead guilty to a felony county of endangering the welfare of a child. The district attorney's office has also agreed to lift the no contact order with the mother and father with their child, and they're to have no violent contact, and there will be a unification process through Children and Youth Family Services. Wait a minute. Let me read this again. And they're to have no violent contact? Well, I would hope so. What other kind of contact? I mean, they actually put that in writing? Like, no, isn't that like, don't that go unsaid? The no violent contact? Quote, "My client, Mr. Dion Stevens' goal was to reunify with his daughter, and I believe that his daughter has expressed the same token here today. And after discussing it with the DI, I think we are on the next step to reach that goal." Wow. Yeah, I don't mind going back to and living with my dad. I mean, he just held me down and poured water on my face so I couldn't breathe. He damn near killed me, but yeah, let's go back. Yeah. Police say the girl was taped into a chair with packing tape. Her hands were tied behind her back and rags were shoved into her mouth. Then the girl said water was poured over her mouth to keep her from screaming and breathing. They allegedly told police they got the idea of waterboarding as a form of punishment from watching a movie. Terrible. Look who's back, y'all. Warns Native American problem is only going to get worse. Scroll your screen. My screen is not scrolling for me. Scroll your screen. My screen is not scrolling for me. Yeah, enough of that. Now it scrolls. Would you look at there? Look at there. Come on, y'all. Come on now. Have you had any doubt that Senator Elizabeth Warren has her eye on the White House? It was dispelled this past weekend when she showed up on the Sunday morning talk shows to say she wasn't running for president. By issuing a deliberately non-Shermanesque denial, Warren signaled her strong interest in 2020. But while the former law professor has learned to speak Washington double talk like a native, her other tribal connections, or lack thereof, may yet trip her up. Rather than retracting or apologizing for past assertions of Native American identity that have been refuted by genealogists and historians, the Massachusetts Democrat is doubling down on her story about being a Cherokee or a Delaware. Last month, the Post dared her to take a DNA test to prove her story, and now a Bay State paper, the Berkshire Eagle, has issued the same challenge. The test results would either compel critics like President Donald Trump to stop calling her Pocahontas or force her to admit it was all a lie. But while Warren won't take the test, she also won't shut up about being a Native American. On the Sunday show, she repeated a story she's been telling for years about her parents' epic romance in which her father's family opposed the match because of her mother's supposed Indian ancestry. It's a sweet tale, but given that no member of her family has ever shown up on the list of tribe members or any other birth, marriage, or death records dating back to the early 19th century, it's hard to imagine why the blonde-haired, blue-eyed senator's grandparents would have rejected her mother or on those grounds. At this point, she's only a degree away from being another Rachel Dolezal, the white woman who passed as African American while becoming a local NAACP official. Yet Warren keeps telling America that she knows who she is and that no one is going to take that part of me away. And I'll live in a TP as long as I damn well please. Why is she doing this? Well, like most people and politicians, Warren is allergic to admitting fault, even if it's just saying you're sorry, and moving on from this mess would be the smart thing to do. Then, too, in a Democratic Party where identity politics and minority status is the political gold standard, having to give up her claim would be painful. Despite her denials of profiting from her claims of Native American ties, she likely never would have been appointed to the faculty of Harvard Law without the distinction of being the first Indian there. It was a key point in her rise from an obscure academic to her current position as one of the leading lights of her party's left wing. Last month, she showed up at a convention of Native Americans and admitted that without a tribal identity, something that must be based on actual proof, you can't call yourself an Indian. That's particularly true nowadays when income from casinos has enabled some tribes to prosper. Yet she still stuck to her myth while saying she would be working to defend Native Americans' interests. It sounded as if she was looking for some sort of honorary status, a modern version of honorary Sue Annie Oakley, as a mark of gratitude for her advocacy. But as perhaps she's starting to realize, the higher her ambitions, the rougher will be the treatment from the press and even popular culture outlets that liberals assume will always be on their side. In November, Trevor Noah said on The Daily Show that Trump was being woke for calling out Warren for not telling the truth and never apologizing for her Indian lies. That should have been the wake-up call she needed. But like taking a test that might produce the truth, that's not something she seems able to do. It's only going to get worse for Warren. In 2020, she will likely be facing off in Democratic primaries against some real minorities like Senator Kamala Harris from California and Cory Booker from New Jersey. So she's not going to get the same free pass for her Native American fairy tale that Democratic voters in deep blue Massachusetts have given her. Oh, my bad. It's long past time for Warren to back down. If she doesn't, the cries of Foxcontas from Trump. Oh, I get it. Folks at Cojones from Trump and other conservatives will be the least of her problems. Yeah, I imagine so. UMN hosting professor to lecture on the violence of whiteness. The University of Minnesota has invited a professor dedicated to the dismantling whiteness to speak next week on how whiteness is an existential threat to the United States. Lisa Anderson Levi believes that teaching is a political act and will discuss ways to decenter whiteness at academic institutions. There's the white devil himself. The University of Minnesota has invited a professor dedicated to dismantling whiteness, quote unquote, to speak next week on how whiteness is an existential threat to the United States. The elephant in the room, a grown-up conversation about whiteness, will be presented by Lisa Anderson Levy, an anthropology professor at Beloit College who's teaching philosophy. Give me a break. Is predicated on the belief that teaching is a political act. During her lecture, Anderson is slated to speak on a number of issues, including the violence of whiteness and how colleges and universities in the United States may be complicit in perpetuating this violence. This presentation explores the equity of violence of whiteness and the ways in which academic institutions are poised to either reproduce or interrupt these discourses, writes Anderson Levy, referring to herself in the third person. She's got a lot going on, y'all. She got a lot going on. Come on, baby. Come on back to me now. Come on back to me now. Come on, scroller. Give me a break. She argues that whiteness poses an existential threat to social, political, and economic life in the U.S. and proposes that decentering whiteness is one of the most urgent social dilemmas of our time and demands our immediate attention, the abstract adds. Anderson Levy will also speak on how college administrators can decenter whiteness at their institutions, including in our budgets, our curricula, our disciplinary genealogies, our interactions with students, and our relationship with each other as colleagues. Though the lecture appears geared toward the college administrators, students are welcome to attend, and UNM spokeswoman Emmeline Bauer confirmed the campus reform that the university is indeed sponsoring the lecture. The ICGC Alumni Lecture Series is an opportunity to highlight successful alumni and allow current students to engage with them, Bauer said in a statement. Campus Reform reached out to Anderson Levy multiple times for comment but did not receive a response in time for publication. In her post at nearby Beloit College, her academic interests include feminist anthropology and act anthropology. She is also the co-leader on a $600,000 project to foster diversity, inclusivity, and equity at Beloit College, which was funded by the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. Will you help expose liberal bias on America's campuses? Campus Reform exposes the liberal bias and abuse against conservatives on American colleges and universities. As a campus reform reader, you know about the abuse taking place at our nation's higher education institutions, and you know how important it is to bring these stories to light. College campuses are no longer bastions of higher learning. Professors indoctrinate students with their agendas. They even silence conservative students with their attempts to suppress free speech. Campus reform depends on the financial support of concerned Americans like you to report on leftist indoctrination on college campuses and uncover the blatant misconduct of university administrators, faculty, and students. Your tax-deductible gift will expose these attacks to millions of Americans. Yes, that's definitely something I would like to support. All this nonsense, politically incorrect speech is hate speech, and if you don't say what I like you to say, then you're not allowed to say it, and don't call him a him and she a her, and man, give me a damn break. God made Adam and Eve, a woman and a man. I mean, it doesn't get much more simpler than that, folks. Okay, I just want to let everybody know that this is a test video. I'm thinking about maybe starting doing a video every day of reading some interesting stories out of the Drudge Report. If you support this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and pass it along and share this video if you think it's a good idea, and I appreciate it. And God bless, and Jesus lives, and everybody have a blessed day. Thank you.